Let's all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, good afternoon, everybody. Here we are at the February 5th Historic Preservation Board meeting. Madam Clerk, can I get a roll call, please?
Member Hurley?
Here.
Member Young? Here. Vice Chair Hawkinsmith? Here. Member Dashiell?
Here.
Chair Lowry?
Yes.
We have a quorum.
Okay, next we have approval of the agenda. Anybody have anything they'd like to add to the current agenda?
Chair Lowry,
Yes.
I do have 2 action items to add for today.
Okay.
So item 4C would be light fixtures on Vina Del Mar Bridge.
Okay.
And item D, 10th Avenue sidewalk replacement.
Very good. Okay, I have a couple things to add to a discussion, very, very brief, but,
I do as well.
okay. You want to go first then?
All right. I would like to ask about the historic plaques and the progress of where those are. Ironically, I had lighting on the bridge, so you've got that. And then for just an update from our meeting on November 6th, where we had talked about the demolition fees. And in regards to consideration of state legislation, SB 180, but if there have been any more communication about or updates about the increase of those fees.
Okay. So we'll put that as 5A, historic plaques, 5B, update on the demo fees, and I guess the sub-aspect would be where Senate Bill 180 is on that, okay? And then we have, I want to add, I was going to ask about Senate Bill 180 as well, so we can just do that at that point. I would like to have a discussion about, just a brief discussion about the future of some of our meetings. And Senate Bill 180, of course, is part of that. I think we should start thinking about any potential changes we might want to have that would now be affected by Senate Bill 180, but when that time frame has expired, we'll be able to move on with our feet going forward, not just start up at that time. So I think we need to start talking about, because we all know how it takes years kind of to get things done, and we have to wait anyway. We might as well start talking about future changes, if there are some. Also, I'd like to get an update on the design guidebook and where we are as far as, so make Senate Bill 180 number 6, well, design guidebook update, number D. I meant number C, not D, 6. And then 5E, I think we need to have a discussion in the future, at least next month, so I'd like to get some information on rooftop accessories and how we're interpreting that. And as part of that, because I've got a lot of people who have been asking questions, I would like to get more information about the residence that's being built, almost finished now on, I believe it's 15th and Gulf Way. Specifically, I want to know about heights and what items, if anything, are being described as being rooftop accessories. So we'll make that 5E. So now let's go back. Anybody else, anything else they'd like to add to the agenda? All right, then I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda as stated.
Second?
Madam Clerk?
Member Young?
Yes.
Vice Chair Hawkinsmith?
Yes.
Member Dashiell?
Yes.
Member Hurley?
Yes.
Chair Lowry?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Right, the audience comments, anybody that, all I see are employees, so I'm going to say there's no audience comments, so somebody's on our Zoom call there. Hi, I don't know who this is.
That would be the applicant.
Oh, coming up on next thing. Okay, so you don't have any comments until we get to your action item. Would that be fair to say? Okay, I see a nod. All right, now let's move along. Number 3, approval of minutes. Has anybody had an opportunity to look at the minutes of the last meeting of January 8th?
I did review them, and I would make the motion to approve the minutes from the meeting January 8th, 2026.
I'll second that.
Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Vice Chair Hawkinsmith,
Yes.
Member Dashiell,
Yes.
Member Hurley,
Yes.
Member Young,
Yes.
Chair Lowry.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, let's go to action items. 4A is the certificate of appropriateness for the exterior maintenance, case number 26015 for the residents at 104 Second Avenue. Lynn?
Good afternoon. This particular case number is 26015. As you've seen, the property owner is here to speak on her behalf after I'm through with the staff presentation. And this property is located at 104 Second Avenue. Come on. There we go. So the applicant's requesting a certificate of appropriateness to remove storm damaged doors, one door, replace damaged windows, and reside the exterior front wall of the porch, which is located on the eastern side of the building. And in fact, that porch is recessed back a little farther from the actual front of the building. What they want to do is replace the damaged door, replace the damaged windows, and reside the exterior front wall of the porch with new hardy board siding. The wall is, like I said, on the north of what was an open porch, north side of the open porch area that was later at one point in time enclosed. The house was purchased by the current owners in 2019, and the application states that they no longer use this doorway as a primary residence and use the original door on the front porch. In addition, the existing windows requested to be replaced are not hurricane and wind impact resistant and are not energy efficient either. So neither the windows nor the doors are original to the house either. And the hardy board siding is what's being proposed to replace the aluminum siding. Let's see if we can. So the subject property is the site of a single-family home that was constructed in 1935, according to its Florida Master Site File form. And the home has been listed on the city's local historic registry since October of 2006. Its local designation number is 31. You can see the 2015 Florida Master Site File photo. That was when the update of the Paso Grill Historic Florida Master Site File forms were updated. And this is a current photo of the house. And so you can see where the little porch is, and that's the only part of the house that's going to be affected by the request. That's a close-up of it. You can see where the doorway was, and you can see the windows, and I don't know, there's probably a grill in front of it, but that's not how it's going to look. Some other pictures of this house. So the following criteria is to be applied by the Historic Preservation Board when considering variances pursuant to Division or Section 2815, exterior maintenance and repair work of the code. The first question asked is, distinctive external architectural features and materials shall be repaired whenever possible and shall be replaced only when repair is not possible due to severe deterioration, or in this case, hurricane damage. Staff noted that the existing door, windows, and wall on the north side of the subject property were hurricane storm damaged and needed to be replaced. Originally, this was an open porch, which was enclosed at an undetermined time. This porch is pushed back from the front line of the existing house, where there is an existing front door entry, which the owner has noted that that's the entry that they used now, thereby giving the porch a less prominent frontal appearance. The second thing that we have to take a look at and evaluate is the removal of historic materials or alteration of features and spaces not that characterize the property and the character of the structure. The materials that are being removed, though, are storm damaged. Wasn't the original request of the owner to have it done before the damage. So is to fix the damage that has been done by the hurricanes. The proposed new doors and the new door and windows and siding are compatible with the existing exterior of the historic house. This request does not adversely impact on the architectural integrity of the existing house. It does repair the recent storm damage of the local historic landmark in a manner that I think staff thinks respects its architectural integrity. And finally, the other criteria deals with distinctive features, finishes, and construction techniques or examples of craftsmanship that characterize a historic structure and that they should be preserved. But in this case, the proposed repair on this porch reflects the home's architectural period and enhances its historic authenticity, in staff's opinion. Staff supports this request for the certificate of appropriateness to remove the storm damaged windows and walls of north side of the porch and replace them with new windows and hardy board siding, which are compatible with this local landmark. The owner should address whether the siding will be the width of the vinyl it is replacing or similar to the environment siding that adorns the rear of the structure. And after the applicant addresses the preceding question, staff would be recommending approval of the proposed certificate of appropriateness. I thank you. If you've got any questions of me, you can ask now or later, but the property owner is here also to address her, with her proposal. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lynn, her application states it's 8¼ inch width, the siding.
That's what was given to us in the application.
So do you know if that's
I didn't measure it.
narrow or wider than the existing?
So I can say from a staff visit, and if we can go back to the pictures. Yeah.
This one or the next one?
Well, this is the rear of the building, and this, the fiber cement board under the porch, that's the porch walls, that is wider than the vinyl that was in the front. So there's different sizes, and you have the asbestos siding on the side, so we're just trying to get a visual of if this is like the existing fiber cement board that's there, if that is going to be the same material.
And there's asbestos siding above that
Yes.
vinyl section also.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's not going to be disturbed.
Lynn, can you go back one more slide,
Say
please?
no.
She's shaking her head no.
Can you just go back one slide and
Yes,
then
I
they can see
can.
the front? Because so you have the front elevation, and it shows in those, in the front over the existing front porch that they're not going to do any work in that area, just the area, the recessed area to the side.
And the damaged area, I believe,
Yes.
pretty much just the damaged area. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
But I don't know if that answered your question. Above the door? Is that area that you're talking about that's to be removed?
Right.
Okay.
So that's not being removed, that the asbestos above the door is staying.
Okay.
So, just for information purposes, they do make fiber cement siding now that looks like that
That-
asbestos siding.
Yeah,
So you
they
can match
do.
that if
But you can
want.
patch it and match it, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ms., is it Fosness? How you pronounce your last name? Your sound's not on.
Okay.
Look, there you are. You're on now.
Yeah.
So it's Margot. Is that right? Is your first name?
Yes, that's right. That's
Okay,
right.
So obviously you've been listening to what we've been talking to today. What would you like to tell us, if anything?
I was going to clarify the above the door that's being replaced with the window is not asbestos shingles. That's aluminum siding as well. That whole section of the house had aluminum siding on it. But it's not being replaced. We're leaving it because it's not damaged.
Okay. And I know there was a couple questions that you wanted her to answer, Lynn. I don't know if that's
Yeah, I think I got disconnected for a minute, so I may not have heard everything that you had to say.
just in a moment. We'll put that slide up so we can have you address these questions. I think we kind of know, one of the questions was whether the siding will be the width of the vinyl it is replacing or similar to the, I don't know how to pronounce that, fiber cement siding that adorns the rear of the structure.
It's 8-inch hardy board planks, so it's similar to the width of the asbestos shingles, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Does anybody else have any question for the property owner here? Okay.
Not? Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Lynn, staff was making their determination on recommendation based on what her response was about the width of the siding. Was staff leaning one way or the other? Do they want it to be the same width, or they want it?
It does not need, I don't think it needs to be the same width. It's similar to what's there. And, you know, we're just glad that they're fixing it. You know, and you know, it's kind of a mishmash of different materials, so, on that porch, so I don't think it really matters. It's not going to be that noticeable or anything, and it's not going to affect its historic integrity. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
As far as
The window that we're using, the replacement window is the same as the windows that are on the west side of the house that were replaced in 2021.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, I will make a motion to grant the certificate of appropriateness for exterior maintenance, case number 26015 for 104 Second Avenue.
I'll second.
Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Member Dashiell?
Yes.
Member Hurley?
Yes.
Member Young?
Yes.
Vice Chair Hawkinsmith? Member Chair Lowry?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you for being historic. Okay, we're going to 4B, which is the proposed addition of solar panel and beacon to stop signs at 21st Avenue. Mr. Berry?
Thank you. We have a couple items just to run by this board, recommendations under Resolution 2023-04. These are for the north and south facing stop signs at 21st Avenue and Paso Grill Way. The proposal is to extend the pole, keep the fluting to the design of the pole itself. They will be installing a solar, as we currently have the solar panel at the top. The major addition would be that the pole is taller. It would also have the flashing stop beacon instead of the lights that surround the stop sign currently. So again, the proposal is to keep it at the north and the south facing stop signs. There's no proposal for the west or east at this time. Just hoping to get a recommendation or input from the board on this item per Public Services.
I just have a question. I can't really tell in that photograph. Is the stop sign isn't the same pole that has the street signs on it, is it?
No. Oh, yes.
Yes, that one is.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so the picture in the middle and the picture on the right, the diagram doesn't show the street signs on there, right?
Correct. That's correct.
I mean, not a big deal, but I'm just, and the solar panel is to control the light, I suppose?
Yes.
Okay, so there's not currently a solar panel. I can't see it if there is, but.
There is
There-
one
there
at the
is.
top.
There now for the little, that goes around the perimeter of the stop.
Okay, so that would be replaced by the actual flashing red light. All right. And just as a question, does staff have any idea whether the adding some of the changes that we've made lately, especially the speed bumps and stuff like that, that's made any kind of a difference? I mean, I've kind of heard secondhand that it has, but have you heard anything like that? You know, less, running stop sign tickets or anything like that? Don't know.
Haven't heard one way or another.
All right.
What prompted the change then? Has it been better or worse?
I think it is concerns about,
Yeah, they've had a problem running those signs for a long time, and so they added the speed bumps, which does seem to make a difference, and I think they might have removed the tree to make it a little more visible. And it's my understanding, only because I say this really for the board, but I think there's still the belief that if the red flashing light becomes too much of a distraction to neighbors, they can revisit it, even though I don't know if that would be the case. So I think we're just kind of trying to do what we can to figure out a way to enforce the stops there. And this is just one more thing that should help.
I did ask, it's not an FDOT recommendation. Obviously, this is a local road. This is just something we do think is going to help with the number of cars that don't stop. So.
Right.
So what's the reason for having to extend the post higher if there's already a solar panel there on top of the existing post?
I think it's just to allow for that beacon to be visible. We would be extending up the street signs as well, to my understanding. So.
Well, this is obviously that we're just doing this for, you're presenting us just for our input on anything, correct?
Yes.
All right. One thing I just want to, and I just want to say this because I never really quite understood when this all started being a problem is, and maybe you all went through these suggestions, I don't know, but I never heard it. That stop sign is on the other side of the sidewalk. It's about 6 feet away from the actual road, whereas the stop sign heading south is right next to the road. And I'm just wondering why we didn't think about moving the stop sign 6 feet closer to the road. Because I know heading north on Pass Girl Way, that stop sign is blocked and camouflaged by other signs from the businesses there. And I just don't know why the stop sign wouldn't have been on the west side of the sidewalk instead of the east side of the sidewalk, but so be it. We've already gone this direction. So, I don't know. Maybe there was some actual reason for it. I don't know. Maybe we're going to get an answer right now.
I believe the area you're talking about, there's a tree on that side.
You can see the picture. There's not.
No, the other, you're talking about this side?
Yes. See how it's on the west side, it's on the east side of the sidewalk. So it's like 6 feet from the pavement. And most stop signs are right next to the road. And so as you're heading north on Pass Girl Way, you have the bushes.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Wharf, you've got the red, white, and booze signs, you got things of that nature, and you're looking at a stop sign that's on the, like I said, on the east side of the sidewalk, and so a lot of times you might not see it until you get right up on it. I just point that out because it was such a simple thing. I wondered if anybody even had checked that part out.
So we can make a note, because if it can be done and not somehow prevent the ADA access that was probably required.
You can look at that and that's fine. I'm just saying, it just always struck me that it was strangely located to start with. And having walked that a million times, I don't see how there's an impediment to moving it, 6 feet to the west, which is similar to the sign going south. That's in the actual median between the sidewalk and the street. This is, like I said, on the east side of and I don't know if that has something to do with the approach to the Vena Bridge or something, I don't know, but.
Is that one thing we would want to know, is that the preference of this board as a recommendation as we move it into final design? And I just want to point out the most important thing you need to walk away from is you will not have an historic pole.
Right.
Okay, so That's the beauty, historic piece of this. It's not the fact that we're putting a light.
Yes, okay.
Okay,
Yep. So in this picture we have here, in the middle picture, we don't have on there the street sign, so that would fit, I suppose, between the red light and the solar panel? That's where it would go?
I think with this, if we could just get your comments, because again, you guys are a whole nother set of eyes, that we could take that back to Public Services, brainstorm, and then come back here as well.
Right, all right, well, I would say, this is just my opinion as it goes, they've already installed. Are they going to take down the stop sign that exists now?
Yes.
No? They will, so it's going to.
they're going to remove that, and it's a whole new pole.
Okay.
And this is not a super inexpensive exercise. Okay, so when you said, oh, if the neighbor doesn't like the flashing light, we've gone through this before at this stop sign where we actually had a light, red, green, yellow, and the neighbors didn't like that.
Right.
So it was pulled down. That's even more expensive than this, so we kind of went with this middle option to try to resolve some of the community concerns. But it's not something we'd like to put up and then 3 months later pull down.
Maybe I shouldn't have said that.
Okay.
I just know that in a meeting, somebody said that, and it seemed to be, to me, that seemed to be, a little silly, because it's like, let's just do it, right? So if that's what we're talking about, then, the board obviously can talk about this, but I would think we ought to look at moving it, 5 or 6 feet to the west, so it's in line where most stop signs are, and it's more visible. And then in that drawing we have in the middle there, I guess, we need to make sure that they do in fact have the street signs, the historic street sign affixed to that, even though it would be
Okay.
between the very modern, non-historic solar panel and the light.
And the base is not the whole post is not the historic post.
It is not,
On north and south, but the east and west posts are gonna stay the historic posts.
correct.
Anybody
And,
else?
and here it is shown like in a galvanized color. I don't know if it's possible that you could get black to kind of camouflage it a little bit, if that would help.
It says it's going to be
It's stated
painted.
in
Painted.
the item on our sheet that it would be painted black.
Okay.
Well, I would say, so we don't have to, do this, come back again on this kind of thing. If there's some legitimate reason why it can't be moved, then it, I would say just where it is okay, And maybe they've already talked about that, as I said. I just didn't ever, it's in an odd position, that's all I'm saying.
I would agree with that, and also just from walking it a gazillion times, I think if it's closer to the street, the visibility is going to be better. I think as, people that are visiting and they're driving, they might see the RWB sign, and that might just kind of get lost in the mix. So I think that would be of benefit, and also obviously having now the light on there hopefully will get people's attention. And I have noticed people slowing down now that there's those little street bumps
Right.
there.
Raised section.
Had a few fillings fall out of my teeth and my, no, I'm just kidding. No, it's great. Okay. Anything else on that then?
No,
Okay.
thank you.
All right, thank you. So now we're talking about action item 5C, which are the lights on the Vena Bridge.
Yes, we just wanted to confirm Public Services is ready to move forward on these. The recommendation from the board, I can't believe it's been 2.5 years, but that's shown in the option 4 there. There were 2 options, this kind of slate, steel blue, and then there was the same in black. I believe the recommendation from the board was for the blue. I just wanted to confirm because it looks like we are moving forward to production for these.
Yeah, I don't think there's been any if I can just go further what you just said, we're just kind of bringing this up again to refresh us all on what we did a
Yes.
couple of years ago, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I say go for it. Let's get it done.
Yeah, I would agree.
Great.
All right, good. And so now it's going to be, they're going to produce those. It's just going to take some time for him to do that. And then, so we'll be installing those at some other unnamed time at this point.
Correct, but they are moving on to production.
Okay. All right, 4D, 10th Avenue sidewalk.
So Public Services is going to be replacing the sidewalk along the north side of 10th Avenue, creating an uninterrupted connection from the Pagway sidewalk. They will also be planting Washingtonian palms where the Australian pines were previously at the northwest corner. We have a few different options. 3 of them are available now. 1 of them would be available in 8 to 10 weeks. They were hoping to get the recommendation from the board on which of these options you feel to be favorable. The current options are to install either 12-inch or 18-inch gray and red multicolored hex pavers similar to what you have on the north side currently in certain areas. We also have a vendor who can supply red-only 16-inch hex pavers now. And again, this would be a replacement of the full sidewalk on the north side of 10th Avenue. We do potentially have a different supplier. We don't know cost yet, so it could be a higher cost, who could install the same 16-inch hex pavers in 8 to 10 weeks out. Those would be the multicolored gray and red, so not just the red that we have access to currently, but they would be the same size as the ones that are presently on the north side of 10th Avenue. Just hoping to get input from the board if you are favorable to one or the other.
I'm assuming that there are some hex pavers there that are salvageable and reusable.
Yes.
Would they be able to be intermixed with the red?
I believe so. They plan to reuse the ones that are viable to reuse.
What is the standard size of the hex pavers that we primarily have on Pass and Grill?
I believe it's 16 for the authentic hex pavers.
Okay. So why do we have 12 and 18-inch ones?
Those are just what our supplier has available right now.
Well, I know there's a whole stash of these over there at Public Works that already exist, that should be the same. If it's 16 inches, it should be, what it already is. And a question I have is, you said, are they going to do the whole sidewalk on the north side or 10th, and just between the alley and Pass Girl Way, where they've torn these trees up? I don't know if there's a problem with the other part of the sidewalk, but maybe there is.
No, I think to the west, as you go past the alley, that one has just been recently replaced by the homeowner. And anywhere north, once you get to Eileen's house and past.
Gotcha.
So it would only be that section that they've recently.
Well, I just wondered for purely for numbers, because it seems to me that, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I didn't know, well, let me go back for clarity. So when we've been putting in new sidewalks or replacing sidewalks, as of a couple of years ago, our suggestion that I think was being followed, maybe until just recently, was that we wouldn't do flat sidewalks, we would do hex blocks if available. Although, and if those weren't, then we were going to do poured sidewalks with the hex grid stamp on it. Correct. I think there's been some recent sidewalks poured where they didn't do that, and the city, people were reminded that that was supposed to be hex blocks or that stamp. But so now do we have a supplier of hex blocks that we didn't have before, so we don't have to do stamped sidewalks? You feel understand what I'm saying is, because this appears if we have a new, I don't know, if you know the answer, let me know. I didn't know we had 3 different size choices. The 12 and 18 are inconsistent with the current hex blocks. It sounds like they are. I haven't been out there to measure them. And do we now have a supplier that can give us individual hex blocks? Sounds like we do. So I'd like to know that, because in a perfect world, I'd like to use the hex blocks instead of using stamped sidewalks.
I think for the city project that we're looking to do right now, we do have the availability to get the pavers. So we're looking for the recommendation. If you want the 16, we have red. If you would rather wait 8 to 10 weeks, we can mix the two maybe with what we have. But I don't know the quantity. That may be more of a public services question that they could answer as far as quantity on hand. I can commend them that they're trying to work with that, but in order to go further, we'd like to hear from you what your recommendation would be to proceed. Otherwise, if you would like to do a combo platter, that's 8 to 10 weeks out.
I know, I don't have in my mind what exactly
Yeah.
is there right now. So
Okay.
Since it wasn't on the agenda, I didn't get to do my drive-by and so
Sure.
it's there and.
It's hex blocks, the old hex
Oh, I
blocks.
know, but
red-
are they,
red and
are they
gray.
white or?
We can
green or
set,
red
we
or-
can,
Do you know what size they are?
Well, if they're the ones that have always been around, they are.
I believe there's 6.
Those are 16, yes.
Okay, so these are the.
And it's not mixed as far
It
as the
is.
sizes go.
The sizes aren't mixed. Historically, the blocks have always been red and gray. There's no green ones anywhere. So we've always been red and gray. And so that section, which is right in the heart there, has old red and gray pavers on it. Some are busted, some have been pushed up because of the root encroachment, and that's why those trees had to be taken down and that area leveled and the blocks replaced. I'm pretty confident that a significant amount of those blocks are still salvageable and can be used. And I also feel that the Public Works has enough blocks, existing old blocks that they've got stored over there to replace that, whatever that is, 100-foot shot there or something that they need to do.
Would you like for us to check with Public Services and
Yes,
bring it back
because-
to the next meeting?
Because then,
Okay.
well, then they could get going on that potentially right away. We don't have to wait for anything. And we don't have to order new things and pay more money or do anything like that. And considering that this sidewalk issue has been going on for a couple of years, I would think the faster we could do it, the better. And so I think the stuff all exists.
Okay.
In my belief. And so, yes, if you could do that, Kristen, that would be great.
Yep.
And hopefully maybe at the next meeting, we'll find out not only did they have enough, but they've already started it or have done it. However, for future use, that's why I was interested in if we have a new supplier that we didn't have before, because I think maybe we should bring that up at the next meeting.
Yep, that could be part of what we could have
about
Public
future
Services.
Sidewalks, about how we might want to go about that. That would be great.
Not a problem. We can do that.
At a prior meeting way back, can't even imagine how far back, conversation was that we would try to maintain hex blocks on Pascal Way and Gulfway as much as possible, but on the side streets, because of the limited supply at that time, that we were doing mostly stamped concrete on the side streets, so that we could save whatever we salvage for those other areas.
Right, so that's why it'd be important maybe at the next meeting too, if we got a price to see how, if they're so expensive, we might want to stick with that plan. If they're not that expensive, then, because I think that's a great little look if we can do that.
Oh, if we can keep it on the main drag, yes.
Plus, it's more permeable and
Especially
all
on
that stuff too.
8th, 9th, 10th,
Yeah,
in front of the museum. Nice to have those hex blocks there.
but a lot got broken and, it got messed up in the storm, so, it's going to be kind of hard. We have to do it by block, I guess. Okay. Does that take care of that then, you
Yes,
think?
thank you.
All righty, so that was 4D. Now we're just on to discussion items.
Plaques.
Historic plaques. What do we know about those?
So I've reached out to our plaque supplier, and I have to, she's Florida-based, but I can't remember the name of it right now. They do have to just confirm pricing, what the city would need to pay for to get the mold done. Prices have increased slightly, so because of that, I'm altering the application form to be sent out. And I kind of wanted to do it in bundles for at least the first go-round, to get a reach-out letter with the application, because we as city staff have to place the orders, so we can confirm dates and we can confirm historic designation numbers, because we wouldn't want the incorrect plaques going out, and doing a couple batches, and then we could probably switch over to individually. But I just, within the past, I would say week and a half, received that the new plaques would be $249 each.
Is it possible to put a link to the application on the historic page, on the historic board?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Kristen, you think that's something we can just talk, you can just give us some information next month on that? Is that kind of where we're at? I mean,
Yeah, you can give you a status update on that.
Yeah.
At this point, if someone wanted to order one right now, they could submit an application and $249.
So with the payment, it would go directly to the company itself. City would not take in the money to pay out. So we would be processing the application, providing the information to the company. Once they have that, then they can reach out to the company individually to pay for it. And then they would be probably shipped back here. And I was hoping, because I know Historic Preservation Month is coming up, that maybe we could do something fun if they take the 6 to 8 weeks to get. So it's kind of a brainstorm in my, yes, yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, so now we're looking to get an update on demo fees, if we have anything on that.
So we're undertaking a citywide fee study. A lot of the focus has been on zoning items. We're looking at not just certificates of appropriateness, but site plans and conditional uses and the other applications that we tend to see frequently. We are working on that. It's likely going to be tied more to the justified staff costs and time involved with that. I don't know if we're looking under the study at I don't want to call it a punitive fee, but a fee that is higher for the purpose of historic preservation. But we currently charge $50. That's well below the time it takes for advertising and staff time and all. So we are looking at those applications to increase the fee. We just don't have a total right now.
Out of curiosity, if someone wanted to have an event out here, like let's say someone says, I want to get married on the beach, what is the fee for that? Or do you guys know?
I can look it up. So there is a base fee, and it's based on the attendance. It can be as affordable as $50. It can go up to $1,000, but that is the base permit review fee. It does not involve, for example, if fire needs to staff the event, there is an hourly charge for that. So it does go up significantly from that, depending on the type of event.
And I believe part of that fee study under recreation services that they are looking into the increase on those fees as well. But I would double check with.
I mean, it just seems like if people are coming out here to have their special events and things like that, I think that it would be more than justifiable to raise the, I mean, there's so much that goes into these permits and research and time and et cetera, and there's a lot of money being spent and thrown around, and I feel like $50 is kind of ridiculous, and obviously the city could benefit from having more income.
Yeah, I think, I thought there was something a couple of years ago where they may have increased some of that, but I don't know who, does that go through a city commission, or is that like a Parks and Recs decision? I mean, how does that even get started, you know what I mean, if you know?
The city commission would amend our fee schedule to increase those
Yeah,
fees.
fee schedule, right. Because, well, right, I think what Danielle's saying to some degree too is that as we look at analysis of all that stuff, we want to make sure we're, consistent. I mean, as we know, there's whole businesses, I believe, because I've seen their equipment and their vans and stuff that just do beach weddings, and I don't know how much the fee is, but it's pretty nice to use a public area for not much money, depending on what you're charging somebody else. And there are times, because we have that, we also have these I'm thinking the word there, where they set up the tents. It's not a wedding, but it's where they set up the chairs and the tents and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, the cabanas?
Yeah, the cabanas. I mean, not the ones from the Paradise Grill, but individual companies that come out and set up and pretty much you can bet that that spot right in 20 seconds is going to have a cabana up there every single day. So it's almost as if it's, you know, it's been they're taken over by some of these companies. And, you know, like we talked about the cabanas, or we should talk about the cabanas at the Paradise Grill. I think it's my understanding they aren't supposed to put them up until somebody requests them, but they actually fill them out at the first thing in the morning, so anybody that lives between 10th and 11th has no place to put their chair because there's already always empty cabanas there. And I always thought, what happens if you go down there and move one of those cabanas because there's no one there? Does that start a fight of some sort? You know, it just seems like that is something to be addressed with the new lease at Paradise Grill whenever that comes up, as to if they're really doing it the way they're supposed to be doing it or not. So I just throw that all out because the use of the beach, whether it's from the fees for weddings or cabanas or whatever, I think gets exploited sometimes. I'm just saying that. But so, Danielle, when you're talking about the demo fees, are you thinking they're too little or they're too much at this time?
I
or-
think it's absurd. I think they're ridiculously too little. You have people that are buying properties
Okay.
for $1 million, $2 million, et cetera, and they're going to spend $50.
Yeah.
It's
And
preposterous.
that makes me, just since we're talking this for a second, because it makes me wonder too, you know, the issue we were having with 702 there, and we're talking about that Pass Way, and I just wonder, and Brandon, you could probably answer this, I was going to ask you this. Does the city have an obligation to do site reviews for property that somebody doesn't own? You know what I mean? Can I say I'm an amateur architect and I'm going to pick out 30 pieces of property on Pass Grill and I'm going to put together 30 designs, site reviews, and give them to you because I might want to purchase those properties sometime in the future. And then you all have to spend all the time and effort to go through each and every one of them, even though I don't even own it and I can change my mind.
So if they're acting as an agent for the owner and they've prepared a complete set of plans, so they can't just draw a sketch and turn it in, it has to be a engineer, architect prepared plans. They have to get a title survey, which is extremely expensive. If they do all that work, yes, we have to review it, but not if it's a sketch. So
I understand what you're saying, and I appreciate that. Certainly makes sense. Okay, and that gives me more information than I had before. But along that line too, though, if you're acting as an agent, usually, like on a demolition, a person come in who's the agent, and we know what they want to do. They want to demolish the house. They're just here to do that. But on some of these site plans, does it cause issues when the agent doesn't speak for the owner? You know what I mean? Or you can't have access to the owner because the agent is the only person you know and can talk to? I'm talking about potential future issues that we might have gotten around some of these problems that kind of popped up.
well, typically with site plans, those go for administrative approval absent a variance, and in that situation, we're just deferring to code or policy, and they have to accept they're not really conditions, they're just criteria to fulfill. With a conditional use permit or variance, in those cases, typically, if there's anything substantial, the owner would need to get involved because they have to commit to something that's not just typically a course or criteria for approval. They might need to commit to making a contribution or giving up land, and I don't think in those situations we would be able to really hold the agent solely responsible for that. We need to get a commitment. So
I guess I'm just trying to figure out, it just seems to me that I'm concerned that sometimes our staff, we might be in situations, and maybe we need to change our policies, is all I'm saying, where the staff is doing a lot of work on potential speculation. You know what I mean? Where, and you all have, I know you're busy enough, and I feel bad that I'm constantly bringing stuff up, but it seems to me that sometimes, we're doing a lot of work for things that isn't necessarily going to come into fruition.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And in those cases, in site plans in particular, we're looking at fees, but I will say that those are probably much more in line with the actual cost of reviewing those applications. I agree that a certificate of appropriateness is extremely low. It doesn't cover the cost of staff review and time put in. But with site plans, they do have to pay. They do have to pay that fee, so.
That makes me feel better. All right, good, thank you.
I have kind of an extension to that question. With the amount of demolition and reconstruction that's going on in the area currently, with people that are coming in to purchase these, and they want to do things like move their driveway, if it's a corner property, they're moving it from one side to the other and things along that line. They do need to speak to somebody, though, to be able to be sure that there's not an issue with doing something like that, even though it's a new build, that what can they do kind of thing.
Correct. We, especially in Pass Grill, we always recommend that they reach out to either ourselves or for public service issues to public services to make sure that they can move forward on that. We don't always get them. Sometimes a building permit comes in and they're not aware that they need to get a certificate of appropriateness or go through design review, but I'd say probably 4 out of 5 do know.
Okay.
All right, and I think part of this was talking about Senate Bill 180. Can you give me the time frame on that again?
So currently the time frame, and it was retroactive when it was approved last year, it is to October 27. There is an amending bill in the legislature that would roll back the most restrictive limitations on that, the moratorium restrictions and so on, to the end of June of this year. They would keep in the future limitations for future states of emergency, but they would be much less restrictive than what we're addressing now. And I don't think any of the work the historic board's undertaken would be adverse to what the amended.
Right, I think
Well,
that the
when-
stuff we've talked about already and at a workshop with the commission and stuff, we've kind of come to the conclusion that that's not a restrictive aspect that's going to make what we have so far delayed until October of 27. That's my understanding?
That's correct, yes.
And I just, for the record, I concur with what Brandon is saying. He's stating everything as I would state it. So
Okay.
thank you.
Perfect. And then it may be, even though it's not affecting our proposed change we've been going over up to now, it may actually, Senate bill may expire, whatever, in June of 26 if some new legislation is passed. So we don't know on that yet, correct?
It's right. It's made it through 2 committees. They had all recommended it, but it does need to pass and be signed. So.
Okay. And so the reason I ask that kind of stuff is as I said, so we're potentially talking about 4 months or very possibly, 18 months, right? I mean, if it goes all the way to October of 27, and I just want to tell the board people, you know, we've done a lot of stuff to get these changes that we're going to talk about in a minute with the design guidebook and stuff like that, but then there's going to be an area there, and I don't think we should take the position that we can't do anything till October of 27, so let's not talk about anything until then, because we can do a lot of work between now and then that once that Senate bill expires, we'll be that much further along. I just say that just so we, can talk about future things, and I would just think that as we go into the next few months or whatever, if there's items that you might want to bring up for items of discussion that we can talk about, certain potential changes to certain things that we haven't touched on now. So that was my only point on that, was to get us all kind of forward thinking on that. So thank you, Brandon and Chloe, on the information about when this expires. And now I guess I'm going to say that kind of takes us into 5D, which is an update maybe on the design guidebook and where we are in our changes we just talked about, getting that moved forward and getting that enacted.
So I believe the board has wrapped up its portion. We did make those few small corrections from the recommendations last month. Our design reviewer is still putting together that guidebook. I will check in with her to see status, but that's really all we're waiting on. We'll bring that back to the board once it's prepared, get your consent for, and it's very similar to the building types in section 20.15 of the Land Development Code, where it shows the schematic of the house and has the other standards that are relevant. We will bring that back to you, get your consent, and it is still pending final rating. We haven't made any changes to the content or title that would need to go back, so we would move it on to City Commission for final adoption.
Okay, so time-wise, we're talking about, and I assume you're talking about Tara, right?
Yes.
So Tara's got to add that stuff, and so then, once she does that, it comes back to us for one more meeting to us for absolute final review kind of thing? Is that how you would?
Right, and that would be specifically for the guidebook. The code hasn't changed since the last time that you saw it, so we would bring the guidebook back, we would get your consent for that, and then move it.
Okay, and so we don't know if that could be next month or 2 months from now or 3 months from now. I mean, I know you can't necessarily speak for Tara. I just want to get this thing done. We've been farting around for years on it, and I know we got delayed by the storm, but that's been 15 months ago, and we're still where we were. So
I will follow up with her in the next couple days and get a status update.
And also, I'm going to make the request, I think I said it before, but I just want to remind you, I know you don't have anything to give us at this point. When she has done that, can we get hard copies or can that be sent to us so we can review it, obviously, as soon as possible, as opposed to, I don't want to come back and have a meeting where we're all kind of looking at it for the first time and don't have, and I want, at that meeting, I would like to be able to say, this is ready to go, and then, because then we have to get it back in front of the city commission, right? For what?
They would, well, they wouldn't necessarily need to accept the guidebook. It would be part of the ordinance, and they would approve the ordinance on final reading if that's what they choose to do.
But I'm saying, so with them, we need to do a final reading with them.
Yes, correct.
Okay, so we're talking about one more meeting for us at a minimum about it, and then a second meeting with the commission. Is that anything else, any other meetings besides that, or could 2 meetings take care of that?
I believe 2 meetings could take care of that. Sorry.
And because the commission meets every 2 weeks, we could technically not have to wait a month between those 2 meetings?
Correct.
Possibly, okay. All right, thank you for giving me that information. So I would ask Kristen too, for next month, can we, instead of bringing it up as a discussion item, can we have it included as a discussion item to get a time frame on that, please?
And when that does come back to us, what can we expect to see there? Is it going to be, we got the introduction, obviously. Are we going to have kind of a booklet format with photographs and figures and descriptions and?
Yes, so that's there's a book. It's like, Lynn knows the one. It's in our office, but it's effectively a guidebook to American houses. Is the book? It tends to be a guidebook for design reviews, and it would be very similar. It would show an example of a craftsman home. It would take into account the details that we tend to see on Pass or Grille craftsman homes, and they would point out those details. It wouldn't be a setback height standard document that's still in the Land Development Code, but it would really just be a baseline for those types of structures.
And I don't know, I don't want to get in y'all's business as far as that goes, but is there anything we can do or any individual board members can do to help move that along or be of assistance? I know you guys got a lot of stuff to do. And I'm fine. I just really think it's imperative we get this thing moving because we're getting, more and more demolitions and more buildings coming through. And I hate to think that by the time we get things passed, there's been 20 houses that got built in the meantime. So,
well, City Attorney, is it okay to send out an action item document to the board as long as they don't discuss it in advance?
Yes, they can review it in advance. They can't discuss it in advance. If they review it in advance, just save your discussions for here.
Yeah, sure.
And I would think that because I can't prepare what she's preparing either, but what I would do is send that document out in advance, and if we could just get board input on if there are any elements or recommendations in the guidebook that you feel are not something that you would support in a vote, if just thinking about that for the meeting where we bring it forward for action, that would be helpful.
Just don't reply to all.
Yes,
Exactly.
one copy.
And we can also make available hard copies if you'd like
That
to
would really be
provide
great,
in
yeah.
a pickup. So we can send it to you, electronically, as well as we could reach out and get them done.
Thank you.
And if, so let's say that happens and people are reviewing it and they say, okay, well, I think the sentence should be changed to this, or this should be removed, or this should be added. Can that be sent to staff prior to a meeting and then staff disperse that to the rest of the board? So at the meeting, they can already have looked at that and come to some sort of consensus?
Nothing's precluding you from communicating with staff.
No, but I'm
Prior to the
saying-
meeting, I wouldn't disseminate their comments to other members of the board.
Okay, so.
I think that would make it also difficult if you maybe like something and chair does not. Like, I think it's better that you bring it all at one time and we can discuss it, because as
Yeah,
a
I
board,
mean-
you would have to work through that.
Yes, I agree with that. I guess I'm thinking of
If it-
minor things that would be more like, whatever.
If it was something where you're asking for more information from staff, and if you were answering his question, you could
Okay, all right, I get it.
distribute the answer to his question to everybody, but.
Yeah, obviously, I'm just trying to minimize us having to have two meetings, but, okay, sounds good. All right, anybody have anything else on that, the timing of that or anything like that? Okay, so let's move on. I would say the next thing is I want to talk about rooftop accessories. And I know we have a definition, I know, and I really do think we're going to have some discussion, and maybe the city commission will have to have a discussion about how we interpret what rooftop accessories are. So I'm trying to get information as to, as of right now, how we are interpreting that and how, and some examples that go on. And nothing against the house I'm talking about, but I've had numerous people say to me that house looks so high, and I have to agree. And the question I think is that fourth floor, even though it's recessed, is that actually above the maximum height, or is part of it above the maximum height, or is it all under the maximum height, or is it considered a rooftop accessory that has a wall and a ceiling on it? And I would really like staff to be able to present that to us next month, so we know in practicality how the interpretation of rooftop accessories is being done at this point. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yes.
And there might be other houses that you might want to mention, and that's fine, or other commercial structures, and that's fine. I would just use that one in particular because I've gotten so many people talking about it. And I would like to be able to answer questions, if I could, to the citizens anyway. Okay, anybody else have anything on that point?
I mean, I think also just I don't know if there's something currently in definition as far as like, if we have anything in any of our codes or anything like that specifically outlining, kind of to your point.
There is. It's just more of an interpretation of there's a definition of rooftop. Is it called rooftop accessories? Am I saying that right? Or is it rooftop appurtenance, or what do they say?
It's part of the height definition, but it lines out.
But you'd like to see that in writing for
Yes.
us to bring back to you next month?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yeah, but if you go, I'm going to say if you go into Division 2, go into definitions, you'll find that.
Well, I think that'll go hand in hand with interpretation too.
It
Because
does.
I think it allows us to clarify whether or not the water's been muddied or could be muddied.
Well, I'm just going to say this at the moment. The problem is it's a bit vague. It says like a chimney, like an elevator shaft, like mechanical, I think, for air conditioning. And then it goes on to say, I think, something like other non-habitable areas. And obviously, there's a big distinction between a chimney, not a fireplace, but a chimney, an elevator shaft, not an elevator, but an elevator shaft, and something non-habitable, which can be defined as a place you don't sleep. So there's a pretty vague area there that can be, and I think,
Gazebo, or
what?
like a gazebo on your rooftop.
Absolutely. You know, there has to be some sort of a parameter that we go forward as we're seeing more and more of these buildings that people are trying to incorporate their rooftop into it, which I don't have a problem with that as long as it's under the height maximum. You know, one thing is to have if you can build four floors and make the fourth floor a rooftop, that's one thing, as opposed to building 4 floors and then making a rooftop on top of that. So we're going to get more and more and more of those, and I think we need to really get ahead of that because it's an issue. I'm pretty confident. So if we can just get some detail on that for next month, that would be great.
Will do.
All right. Anything else from anybody? Let me get my gavel here. All right, adjourned. Thank you all.